friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa Stringworks Workshop. I have something to talk about that I seriously do think will change your musical life. I do seriously mean that. You know, people make all kinds of claims on videos and YouTube and stuff, and the proof is in the pudding. It's put your money where your mouth is, in my opinion. If you've watched any number of my videos, then you know I like to tell it just like it is. Sometimes I tell it a little too much like it is for some people's taste, and they think that, I'm going too far. It's taken me a long time to get up the nerve to make this video, and it's mostly because, whether you believe it or not, I just don't like to brag on my own stuff. And that's the truth. I don't like to. I like to undersell it. I sell mandolin saddles that hold the strings up there, on your bridge. They increase your volume and you will break less strings. Those are the only two claims I actually make on those. Many people tell me they do a lot more than that. I can't physically prove those other things. Those are more of a perception, so I don't make those claims. It's pretty easy to tell your volume increased, and it's pretty easy to tell you're not breaking strings. So those two things I make as a firm claim. And that's kind of the way I've always approached my training, my musical training that I came up with. I've tried to undersell it. Well, I've been selling it now for at least 10 years. And I have to be honest and tell you, I truly haven't gotten any complaints at all in 10 years. And I have sold at least 1,000 copies of it, at least that many, maybe more. I've sold it all over the world. And I get continual letters and continual email telling me, and even some phone calls, telling me how wonderful the training. Now, is it high tech, latest, digital gadgetry? No, it's nothing like that. It's just common sense training. And it's common sense, and that's the emphasis. So my point is, if you are trying to learn music and you want to learn by what I believe to be the easiest method in the whole world to learn music by, then you should get my training. Yeah, that's my opinion. I seriously do think it's the easiest training you will ever find to understand music. The training is written on two instruments. One of them is the mandolin, the other one is the guitar. Now, the mandolin training is truly in-depth training. And you would think, well, it's just for the mandolin. You're just going to learn mandolin. Well, yeah, you could look at it that way. But I seriously try to get everybody to start with my mandolin training. There's a bunch of reasons for it that I'm not going to go into every detail, but just surmise it to say that the mandolin is shaped perfectly for the way I train this training, meaning that you only have to have one chord that you have to learn. Can't get much simpler than that. You just learn one chord. You just move that chord around on the neck, and you learn the Nashville number system, which when you learn the mandolin, you will think it was designed on the mandolin. It had to be, because it just works on the mandolin perfectly. And then I teach you about 11 or 12 rules that I came up with that you will never hear anywhere else. And those rules will explain music to you in a way that it makes sense out of music. It's really that simple. It's truly that simple. In a way, it's innovative. I hate to use words like that about my own training, but it really is. It's kind of innovative. It's a way to just get a much better understanding of music really quickly. For years, I was teaching this training to kids one-on-one. And there have been cases where I've only given one lesson, and the kid gets it so well that they just take off and go. They didn't need any more lessons, just one 1-hour lesson, and they got it. That was only one time, but there's been a number of times where I've given 2 lessons, 3 lessons, maybe as many as 5 or 6 lessons, and the kids just take off and they're gone. And all I see is their taillights leaving because they've got it. Well, people would come up to me for years and they would say, "Where do you find all of these musical genius kids?" And at the beginning, I guess I thought, I have been lucky. I found these musical genius kids. But the more I trained it, the more I realized that it's a just a different way of thinking about music that makes sense to them, and they just get it and they go with it. You know, if you learn music the traditional way, you will just think it's complicated as heck. And people would come into my band all the time and they'd say, you know, you need to learn the Nashville number system because, you know, it would help you in your music. And I was stubborn and I would say, well, I can already play everything. I don't need to, you know, learn that. And I would just push it off. But the one day when I finally got over my stubbornness and I sat down and I taught myself the Nashville number system, the lights were just coming on and coming on and coming on and coming on. And I'm going, now I can finally explain my training more detailed, but yet keep it in a common sense level understanding that anybody can understand. Now, having said all of this, there's really one thing that you must possess before you bother, and it's a sixth sense. I'm sure you've heard of the five senses, and everybody's got those five senses pretty much. But there is a sixth sense that you really have to possess in order to play music. And what is that sense? It's timing. Now, 90% at least of all people have timing. But if you've ever been on stage and you are playing and you hear people clapping out of time, then you will know some people don't have timing. I have only run across 3, maybe 4 people in all the years I've been doing this that don't have timing. And I mean seriously don't have timing. In other words, they can't clap in time with a rhythm. They just can't do it. They can't do it. They just can't do it. They have no sense of timing. Timing is just like a clock. In fact, one of the things I learned early on when I had my recording studio was when people would do a second take of a song, the length of the song would be almost exactly the same. 3 minutes, 2 seconds. The next cut was 3 minutes, 2 seconds the next time they played it. It's just like a clock. So my point is, you have to possess timing. If you don't have a good sense of timing, and by good, I just mean average sense of timing. If you don't have that, then you can't play music, period. And I've even, as nicely and jokingly as I could, suggested that those people take up a different hobby, golf or something like that, because they will be frustrated their whole life trying to play music because it will never, ever work for them. Not ever. You have to have a sense of timing. Having said that, at least 9 out of 10 people have that, at least, and probably more than that. For the most part, this training will work for you with that one caveat. Now, let's quickly talk about people that already play music. If you're really an accomplished musician and you can play anything and everything and you feel like you really understand music well, then probably you won't get that much out of this training. Even saying that, I still think there are tips and tricks in there that even an advanced musician will go, wow, I never thought of that before, And I'm pretty sure that almost anybody could get something out of it. But if you are a rank beginner, absolutely, this is the place to start, in my opinion. If you've been playing music for years and you can basically play anything, but you think it takes you a long time to learn a new song or to learn the chord changes and things like that, this training is for you. If you can play anything, but yet you still think music is kind of hard and kind of complicated, this training is for you. Once I learned this method and understood it through the Nashville number system, music was simple. And I seriously, it changed my view 180 degrees. I used to look this way, now I can see this way, because it just made everything simple. It just made it easy to understand. So I beg you to get this training. It's going to benefit me because I'm going to get the money, but it is truly going to change your musical life. I don't know any other way to say it. This training, while it is specific to the mandolin and to the guitar, the training on the mandolin is very basic. It takes you from the very beginning through the most complicated tunes. And it's quite a long training. You can go at your own pace, and it is geared toward the mandolin. But once you learn that training on the mandolin, if you want to learn banjo or guitar or something else, it will make it much easier for you because you will have a really good understanding of music. You will understand how music is put together and why it does what it does. I promise you, you can switch to any other instrument much easier after you learn this mandolin training. If, on the other hand, you are already a guitar player and you already know your guitar chords, that's kind of the caveat on the guitar training. You need to already know your guitar chords because I don't teach all of that from the ground up. Then the guitar training on the Nashville number system, you'll find that helpful. But seriously, if you're starting at the beginning or if you've been playing for years and you just want to understand music better, get the mandolin training. I promise you, you will thank me later. So friends, thank you for listening to me. I hope I didn't ramble too much. You can find the training on my website, www.rosastringworks.com. Go to the for sale page, and then you'll see the mandolin method and the guitar method there. Thank you for watching.